Hello, folks, and welcome back to Learn Synthesis with Ableton Live. I'm your host, Dr. Lawrence W. Moore of the Wayfarer Project. And in this episode, we are going to continue on with operator. There was a few things in the previous episode, that didn't fit really within the time frame of the episode that I want to cover. For those who haven't seen the previous episode, it's worth checking out. We look at a lot of the synthesis basics, like how to use oscillators and LFO, amplitude envelopes, envelopes for other things, and some of the major concepts, and we used operator to do that. So we began looking at all the different things in operator and how the GUI works and what everything does. And we're going to continue along those lines today. So this is mostly about the ins and outs of operator, except for the frequency modulation functionality. I believe that will be the next episode. I don't want to cram too much into this one. I basically looked at the different things that I didn't cover about operator in the previous episode, and I want to cover them all up until frequency modulation, which tends to be one of the more powerful things about it, but it deserves a whole episode. Thanks to Mati for your kind words in the comment. It really helps creators stay motivated and, feel good. I'm used to teaching, virtually with real-time interaction or person-to-person in classrooms and stuff. And so teaching this way where everything goes out one direction can sometimes be like lonely. So thanks for the comment, and keep them coming. If you have questions about things, please don't be afraid to ask. Alrighty, so let's get on to the episode. Okay, so here we are. I have a fully defaulted initial instance of operator up here. And so I'm not going to so much review last time, but just kind of like go through the process of maybe making a sound, and then I'll include those things I haven't talked about yet with operator. So first thing you want to do when you're making something in operator is, we're going to cover the FM synthesis aspect of it next time. But right now, like if you're not going to be doing FM synthesis and you want to just combine oscillators to go parallel, this is the first thing you want to do is click on this so that you see the oscillators color-coded, like over here, displayed side by side, which means that they are running parallel. Okay, and when you do that, then you can click over here on your first oscillator, and you get the display for that oscillator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on making a square bass sound, pretty basic synthesis sound, and this sound will also probably, because they often do, work as a monophonic or solo lead. So that's another thing I could point out. Like if we click on that icon over there again, where you can select your oscillator arrangements, this is also the page where you could select your number of voices. And if you want to play something monophonically, like a bass sound or a solo instrument, it's always advantageous if it's going to be a melodic instrument where you're not going to have more than one note at a time. It's always advantageous to set it to just one voice, because now when I hold two keys down, the second one I press is the note that it jumps to, and so forth. And there's some abilities that you can add to it to make some things a little bit smoother. Now we just have a basic sine wave right now, so I am going to try and make this a little bit more interesting. I'm going to put our sine wave down an octave. It'll be our bass. well, bass tone in the overall bass sound. And then here I've gotten a little more comfortable just typing in, like the attack time. I want it to be fairly quick, so I'm going to make it 25 milliseconds. Now, you remember before, those little snaps that we're hearing in there? We're going to have to work on getting rid of them, and we will. Let's set up our amplitude envelope a little bit more, and I'm going to try and memorize this. 25 K time, let's make it 10 times that in 250. And then our release time, I'll even double it more, make it 500. And then let's see here, our initial, we want that to be negative infinity, because basically when you press the key, it should slope up from silence, basically. And our peak, 0.0, our sustain, we'll make it negative, I think the 18 dB value, fine, last time. Maybe it shouldn't go down that much. Let me try negative 12. Usually I like to go in 3 dB increments, but sometimes when I know, I could use a bit more, I'll go in 6 dB increments. Decibels, like typically, you're not going to hear much of a difference unless it is 3 dB when you change it, and oftentimes, because of the doubling effect that has in the perception of the loudness, it's good to go in 3 dB increments. But you don't have to. You can put in a magic number if you wish, as long as it sounds good. Now, we're playing a monophonic instrument. There is a pitch envelope section over here that I didn't get the chance to go through last time. And basically it has a number of settings for it. And it also has, a bit of a design here. You see how this is a little bit up from this over our attack and decay time. It's hard to hear, but what that really is it's sloping down in pitch. Now the attack, 0 milliseconds, decay, 40 milliseconds. That's why we're not hearing much, because that's 400 milliseconds. Let's make this happen over, I have 250 on the amplitude envelope, but we can make it go a little bit longer just so you can hear it. Let's say 500, that's half a second. And we'll make this 500, that's half a second too. But the change isn't much. So that's probably why we're not hearing a big thing here. Right now, before I actually craft this the way I want it to sound, I just want to show you this, so that's why I'm doing it. And now this is how much the velocity would affect the timing of this slope, meaning how quickly you hit the key on the keyboard. And the initial is set to plus 12 semitones. That should be a whole octave. Peak, plus 12 semitones, and then 0 semitones. Let me check one other thing down here. End, 0 semitones, that's this last portion of the envelope here. Perhaps there's something here that is an amount that we need to check off, or maybe I need to turn this on. There we go. There we go. So there we go. You heard that octave sweep. I don't really care for that too much, so I'm going to make the attack time the same as our amplitude envelope of 25 milliseconds, A time 250, and our release time can be 500, just like our other envelope. So there, it just sounds almost like a percussive hit because it's so quick now. Over the portion of the attack and decay times, which in this case is less than half a second, about a quarter of a second, a little bit above that, but But let's say we like that, and cool. So now when I go from note to note, I still hear a little bit of a tap. Now, there's a way of dealing with that. There is a glide option down here that you have to turn on. And then you give it a time. 50 milliseconds is quick enough that I'm going from note to note, and as I play each key, I don't really hear a delay in it getting from note to note. Let me just play like an octave swoop here. You hear how it's going, woo. It's basically applying a glide up to the next pitch. Now, the thing is, this thing at the beginning is not working very well with that, unless, I mean, you just have to be careful. Because if you let a key go and then hit another note, you hear that pronounced attack again. But basically, when you go from note to note, still holding the first note down, when you go to the next, you just hear glide. It doesn't give you the attack decay portion of the envelope anymore. Neither the amplitude envelope or this one here, the pitch envelope. So let's see here. This is percentage saying that the pitch envelope is 100% affecting the overall sound, and it is the overall sound because I have all 4 oscillators selected here. Of course, I'm only using one, but if we are going to add some more oscillators here, let's see what that sounds like. I am going to add an oscillator B. We'll have that be not detuned an octave, but up at the normal octave for the note that I'm playing. And since I said we'll try a square bass, let me put on square 64. All right. And we need to turn the level up here. Yeah, that that pitch envelope is now giving me a headache. So I'm going to go over here. It doesn't have to be a whole octave. Maybe we just have it in the attack portion. I'm going to put this at 0 here. Try a swoop up from 6 semitones below. It's hard to hear it so much because it's so short, but for example, I'll put it back to an octave here. But like I was saying, that was really hitting me over the head. Don't care for that being that strong. You could turn down the pitch envelope here, percentage-wise. We'll make it half. That means half of the sound overall has the envelope, the other half doesn't. Here I'm going to keep playing the note and lower the pitch envelope and find it. Actually, it looks like it goes 2 directions. So really what we're affecting right now is this, the semitone amount. It sounds like we don't really need a pitch envelope, so I'll just zero it out anyway. But at least now you know what that is. So the pronounced attack now is mostly just the, excuse me, the peak level over the decay time going down to the sustain level of the amplitude envelope. That's mostly what we're hearing here. And then there's a speed amount. So it looks like all that would craft what you set here. How quickly it gets to, I guess it's the speed. This would be govern the overall envelope. So whatever you set here, this could increase it even more. And then there is transpose. I guess without an envelope right now, this would actually transpose the overall instrument. And it's in semitones, so 12 semitones is an octave. But that transposes all of your oscillators. But I guess it would not if you had some of them not selected. For example, let me take off D, which is our sine tone in the bass register. Nope. Nope, it affects everything. So it looks like, yep, over here, this setting only deals with those values set in here within this monitor section. Now, what else do we have here? We have a destination of the pitch envelope, so we could have this pitch envelope sent to some other place. Here we have our filter that we worked with a little bit last time. Let's see if we can send it to filter frequency. And then what we're going to have to do here is actually make this. I'll make it 500 milliseconds so we can hear it. And I need to put this back on like 12 semitones. And this is on. Oh, I think I need to put this back up to 100%. Yep. All right. And then, oh, I thought that said speed. Excuse me, spread. Let's see here. Ah, that is a pan. If you're listening to this on a built-in speaker on your cell phone or computer where the speakers are really close together, then you're not going to hear this too well. On headphones, you can really hear the sound kind of spread apart to the sides. And it's really nice. It's interesting that it's under this. I guess this is the only thing referring to pitch envelope, but since there's a square here for turning on the section, I was assuming this was part of it. But no, this is speed. Okay, so anyway, I correct myself, so it's all good, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so there we go. Let's get back to making this sound decent. I'm going to turn on the level for our third oscillator here. And since I'm clicking on it, I can now select its waveform. I'm going to make it also a square. Now, I'm going to detune it so that these two oscillators actually sound a little bit thicker rather than being on the same pitch. And so what I'm going to do is put this up. I'm assuming this is in cents here. I don't know, 15 cents would be a lot. But what I need to do is I like to have, when I do detuning of oscillators, in this way, where they're slightly apart, I like to move one oscillator about the same amount that I move the other. And let me see if I could type in 5. 5, or actually, yeah, 5 cents would be maybe still a little too much. Let's go with 3. And then this one, I got to do it this way. Because this dial does not go down into negative values, I have to go down the octave and put this up to 97 cents. Uh-oh, it's not cents, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like it's more of like some sort of percent. So I'm going to go down to try 997. So that way it's the same distance. It's like 3 below the pitch, and this is 3 above. That sounds pretty good. I mean, cents is usually 0 to 100 because that's what it means. Cent is 1/100th. Just like a centimeter, 100 of them make a meter. But yeah, so, but this is sounding good. This is sounding how I wanted it. Just a slight detuning, equal amounts in each direction. All right, and we could probably add just a little bit more. Let's go here to this one, turn you up, and let's make you also a square. Did I bump something that's sticking up there? If I'm accurate about it. Let's just select it again. Yeah, it says user right now because I must have bumped something. There we go. That's a nice effect there. The detuning is creating a little bit of beating between the frequencies, which results in something that sounds very similar to phasing. Let me turn you up to 2. How about that? And then we're up higher an octave. Or up 1 octave higher. Yeah, now I'm feeling that the amplitude envelope is a bit much. And plus what I have to do is check the amplitude envelopes of all of them. This is, I guess, got to memorize them again. 25, 250, 500. And the sustain is -12 dB less. Let's make these the same. 25, 250, 500, and this should be -12 dB. Now that the difference between the peak and the sustain is less, that peak is poking out a little bit less. So that's what I was going for here. Okay, and we're going to look at that in a moment, the time and velocity. Well, I guess I could just say it. Basically, depending on the velocity with which you hit the key, in MIDI that's a range of 0 to 127, but basically if you hit harder, the time is longer, and if you hit softer, the time is shorter in executing the overall envelope. Initial, I just want to finish making these all the same. And -12. There we go. Now let's listen to that oscillator that's up higher than the others, because I'm going to turn up the time. Let's put it to 100%. These are in percents. So I'm going to hit the key slowly. You hear that upper tone sloped in. It came in slow, and it just faded out slow. So it's extended the time factors for the whole envelope for just that oscillator, because these envelopes are independent. They go with each oscillator that you select. So maybe that's a little too much. Let's go down to 50%. You hear the release went away quickly there because I hit it with a high velocity and it went away quicker. I might set this to, oh, no, wrong thing. Set this to 25%. There you go. You can hear the difference, especially on the release. But it is also affecting the attack, but you're not going to hear it as much because the attack is shorter to begin with, and the release is longer. Release is like 20 times longer, so. Okay. I'll leave that in. That sounds fine to me. And then we have key here. That's how much the key that you're pressing has an effect on it. I'm going to play a low note. Yeah, the higher notes have a quicker execution of the envelope. So basically, all these are affecting envelope. How much does the range of the key? And look, you can go into negative values. So you could go the opposite direction and have the lower notes be quicker in executing the envelope than the higher ones. So anyway, there are more here to show. Phase. Well, that we might be able to hear better with these two closely pitched oscillators. Phasing is most effective when you have two waveforms of the same shape and they are kind of like parallel to each other in pitch, or at least close to it. Let's do the 50. Let's do 100. Since they're pitched apart a little bit, I'm not hearing this as pronounced as an effect. But that's something you could try on your own when you tune the oscillators to the same exact pitch. But I usually prefer this chorusing effect that I have right now anyway. Okay, and then oscillator velocity, like how much does the key velocity affect oscillator itself. We're hearing a change in pitch. So and you can go the opposite direction into negative values. But I think it's not letting it because of the detuning of it. So I'll zero that out for now, but I might actually like that here on this upper color tone here on this first oscillator. Let's try 50. So you see it stays the same when you glide from note to note, like not releasing the first key before playing the next key, because you're not executing the envelope again. And so a velocity value is not being read. I mean, it's being sent MIDI-wise, but it's not being read because we're in monophonic mode. I'm playing one key there, and just the differences in velocity are making that sound different. I like it. It's just not in extreme amounts. I'm going to leave that in. Alrighty. And then there's feedback. Oscillator's feedback is basically its signal going back into itself as much as you turn this up. And it's only doing this on the upper oscillator because that's the one I have selected. That's the one that's the highest in pitch there. Adds a little extra fuzziness to the sound that is pretty cool. Okay, and repeat. I've worked with this before, and I have not been able to totally figure this out. Yeah, so sorry about that one. Anybody knows, leave a comment in the comment section. But I've tried all sorts of different parameters and tried changing that, and I was just not able to get figure out exactly what that is. It's using a fairly generic term there. I guess I could go to a manual. Yeah, probably before next time I should. Let me go over here and LFO, our good old friend. I'm going to turn the LFO off for everything except the highest oscillator, our fuzzy one. In fact, I'm not hearing it very clearly now. A is on. Oh, this is D. Oh. D is the upper one. Okay. Sorry, I had those backwards. I thought D was the lower one. Okay, that's a bit much. Just a little bit of movement in there. Plus, remember last time we were able to change the destination of it. If we have our filter on, and it is on, except the frequency's turned all the way up, so we're not really hearing it filtering out anything. But we can go here to the destination. Destination B. Meaning right now, I guess destination A is where you can select which oscillator it affects in pitch. And there's a percentage amount that you use to... I guess destination A you can also set to the filter, I think. And here, I didn't show last time, but this is a good way of... Let me go down an octave. I think what I'm going to have to do, I want this affecting the filter, but by checking this off, FIL, that would do it. I'm not hearing a big difference, so I'm going to go here to destination B, the second destination, and let's try filter frequency there. Now here's another thing, our LFO does have an envelope to it, so let's have it come in over 500 milliseconds. Decay time, well, let's make these both 250. No, let the decay time be equal in peak value to the sustain, so it's just one fade in that we have to worry about. 500. Or we can make that 750. Yeah, I'm starting to make the sound worse. But anyway, at least you're seeing, you know, what can be done with this. So I'm going to turn LFO off. we still have filter here. Okay, and so that's affecting the whole combined sound. I'm starting to think whether or not I want that feedback on. Actually, I do like it. Need to be turned up a bit more. All right, sounding pretty cool there. So, yeah, I believe I've covered just about all of the other aspects of operator, except for, of course, the frequency modulation. But let us maybe play a little bit more and see if we could shake the sound a bit more. Like maybe, let's go to the envelope here of this higher frequency oscillator and maybe make it slope in 250. But now let's also get rid of this difference here. Oh my goodness. Hold on just a second here. Repeat is off, and down here we have no looping. Oh, I didn't show the looping yet. That's one thing. Yeah, that slower attack, that peak arrives after the other peak. A little too much, and but I can make its peak right here a little bit less. Let's try -12. The thing that the sustain was at. Let the sustain be the same value so we don't hear any. Yeah, you can kind of hear a delayed sloping in of the upper oscillator. And now it sounds a little bit sleeker and stuff like that, that I don't have it standing out too much. Another thing we could do is loop this envelope. And I'll just put it on loop here. You hear the upper oscillator coming in and out. Wee, wee, wee. And it is set here for, I believe that's 1,000 milliseconds, like every second. Sounds like it. Make it every half a second. Oh no, that's the opposite. It was at 100. Sorry, I didn't count the zeros. But that time, 100 milliseconds. There we go. That sounds better at 250. You can also set it to beat. So it's like every beat, depending on the value you put here, every 8th note or 16th note. Let me try to change this. There we go. Dragging right. I hear those 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It depends on your BPM. Up here, the tempo is set for 120. So yeah, that sounds about right. And sync seems to be I don't know if that has to do with the MIDI sync. That would be an input coming in, but you know, if that was the master, that would be the same as beat anyway. Oh, okay, and then trigger. I guess that you would have a trigger have to be coming in. We'll get to that stuff later, like basically sending signals from module to module. But this requires that you have some other module that is sending a trigger. Okay, but you know, you want it to be on beat. I hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's make it quarter notes. Let's see how that works. 1/4. Let's try that. No, that took a 4. 1 slash. It's not accepting slashes. Looks like I am going to have to just drag on it. Trying. There we go. 16th, 1/24. Okay, so it's more than just the now here, which sounds about right for a quarter note on 120 BPM. Let's turn these guys down. I'll put them at -12 so that our upper oscillator sticks out a bit more, because there's 2 of these. Whoa. I just about fell out of my chair when that happened. That would have been feedback, which is on this oscillator. Yeah, I have it at 100%. It was probably being triggered by velocity. So anyway, folks, I think, except for doing frequency modulation, which I believe I'll do next time so we can say goodbye to operator, there's so much you can do with this module. It's unbelievable. But yeah, frequency modulation is a whole subject in and of itself. And we'll basically try to make a basic FM sound next time using this section. Basically, all these are different arrangements for your 4 oscillators feeding into each other's frequency in order to create frequency modulation. Okay, but thank you for joining me. I hope you've learned something this time, or at least enjoyed it, or got a good night's sleep. In any case, please hit that like button, leave a comment, you know, let me know I'm not alone. And yeah, until next time, take care and stay free.